While anime is mostly lightweight and easy to digest, some of them are rather opposite, and some of the scenes in these shows can make you go from, what is this, to, why did I enjoy that, what is wrong with me? Because let's face it, we all like extra ketchup once in a while. Welcome back to Animeology, and today we will be looking at some of the most savage massacres in all of anime. A quick disclaimer that some of the clips shown in this video might be a bit extreme for some viewers, and there are tons of spoilers ahead. Number 10. Majin Buu cannot wait. Dragon Ball Z. Before the die-hard Dragon Ball fans out there lash out in the comments saying why such a classic scene is so down far in the list, do know that this scene didn't show a lot of death. Buu's attack was a brutal one, but it also looked like a New Year's Eve celebration. However, we cannot let this sparkly Sailor Moon attack sequence take away from the fact that Majin Buu used this attack to obliterate all human life on Earth. This guy was so strong that the Z fighters had to ask him to wait while two kids trained inside the time chamber, just so they could be strong enough to at least put up a fight against Buu. This obviously didn't go as well as the Z fighters thought it would, and Buu thought some fireworks would lighten up the mood. While the sequence itself didn't show any form of violence or death, the dialogue deliverance and the tension build up for the attack made this one of the most memorable mass murders in anime. Number 9. Shinjuku Disaster. Inuyashiki. If you've watched Inuyashiki, then you probably know that the things that are going to be shown and said are borderline disturbing. The premise of this anime itself is rather weird, but no one would have expected this particular scene to be this brutal. While you can always argue if the protagonist is a teenager or a grown man, considering the progression of the story, there is no denying that his actions were downright chaotic. Long story short, Inuyashiki, the protagonist of the story, finds himself with new powers where he can literally point his fingers and do a bang gesture and pop people's heads. It's hard enough to watch all those people get annihilated in a very gruesome way simply because Inuyashiki thought anime girls weren't cute. But what really makes this scene unsettling is his expression. Inuyashiki expresses no guilt, anger, displeasure, or any emotion at all, which really adds to how cold this character is. Number 8. Classroom of the Dead. Dead Man Wonderland. While not as popular as any of the other entries on this list, mostly because the anime itself is severely underrated, Dead Man Wonderland's first episode is one to remember because man, was I in shock when I first watched it. Everyone was expecting something bad to happen as soon as they started the show, given the title of the show, but no one saw the flag breaking that early. There is something so eerie about the calm and the innocent atmosphere they maintain while introducing us to Gonta and his classmates. You can just feel that those giddy little moments were not going to last long. In the next couple of minutes, as Gonta is staring outside the window as any good anime protagonist would, a strange humanoid figure appears, cracks a creepy smile, and levels the entire classroom. Classic La Tomatina. Number 7. Ainz levels everything. Overlord. Overlord has always presented itself as an anime that likes to go overboard with almost all aspects of fiction. Whether it's their characters, side or main, the activities these characters do, or the powers they possess. Excessiveness has been the selling point of this anime from the very beginning. So, I'm pretty sure no one was surprised in this scene when an army of over 100,000 soldiers were presented in front of Ainz, who is still unknown over the land. From the conversation and the mere atmosphere of the scene, You know, Ainz was about to drop the holy hammer on these guys, except it isn't holy at all. Since these soldiers tried to pose a threat to Nazarick, which was Ainz's home, he went absolute god mode on them, creating a huge tsunami of black substance that turned into morph monsters, devouring every single life form that came in touch with them. I'd like to believe that Ainz's inability to feel any emotion, and given the fact that he knows that this is a game, led to him easily taking such a drastic measure. But even so, killing 100,000 people was as overboard as it gets. Number 6. The Uchiha Massacre, Naruto Shippuden. Oh, the classic massacre scene that actually made massacres a thing in modern anime. Naruto Shippuden has had a fair share of hard to watch scenes over the years, but this one holds a special place simply because we can view it from multiple perspectives and all of them are just as brutal. When Uchiha Itachi is ordered by the village elders to murder his entire clan and prevent a coup from happening, Itachi is faced with the very hard decision of placing the village over his family. Being the philosopher he is, Itachi thought of the greater good and slew every single member of the Uchiha clan, including children and probably infants too. The reason this scene hits hard is that we first get to see it from Sasuke's and the village's perspective, where Itachi is the cold-blooded villain who mercilessly killed his entire clan. But when they reveal that Itachi was actually saving the village, we get to see his perspective and realize that the man internally died the day he slew his clan. The pain in his heart is more visible when he stands behind his parents, who were ready to accept death from their son, and proud of the path he had chosen to walk. I mean, just look at this. Number 5. Rimuru goes apeshit. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Now, this could easily rank much higher in the list, considering how well built the story and the characters were at this point. But since this is a particularly fresh anime and a fresh scene, we decided that the number 5 spot would be sweet nonetheless. Any fan of that time I got reincarnated as a slime would agree that this massacre was one for the record books, and weirdly satisfying because of the amount of depth it would go on to add to Rimuru's character. This core of the season was, to be honest, a bit dragged with the story progressing much slower than expected, but that doesn't mean that the signature scenes weren't worth it. Long story short, some of Rimuru's subordinates get killed by a bunch of antagonists, if that is the right word to use. Now, up until this point, we really hadn't seen Rimuru actually give in to rage or have an outburst of sorts, but after he's pushed beyond the edge multiple times, Rimuru goes beast mode on an entire settlement and kills thousands in an instant. Seeing our everyday slime give in to rage and emotions was a very new take on his character and made the whole massacre that much more meaningful. Number 4, not so light, Death Note. While this isn't technically a massacre, because it's a bunch of people dying at the same time in different locations around the world, so we could call it a killing spree, we just had to mention it. Death Note is that anime that you simply cannot disregard no matter how long it's been since you last watched it. One of the main reasons was, of course, the incredible protagonist Light Yagami. After the death of L and the masterful success of Light's brilliant plan of reacquiring the Death Note, which he had relinquished, Light was itching to execute some justice. Since he had not been cured for a while because of memory loss, Light had not been killing criminals for a very long time, and his substitutes were not as effective or as passionate about the idea of a new world. This is why when he finally gets the Death Note back after L's death, Light stands on a rooftop on a cloudy night and stares down the city as if he owns the whole place and starts writing names at top speed. The sheer brilliance of the music and the horrific ways in which he kills all those criminals really puts a cherry on top of his win against his arch nemesis L. Number 3. Bunny Party. Blood Sea. Trust me when I tell you that any list that mentions Massacre and anime in the same place will have this particular entry, and probably in the top 3 too. Blood Sea is not joking around when they say that all they wanted was to make people feel disturbed and uncomfortable. This particular scene from the anime shows a bunch of rabbit-like monsters who would look rather cute if their jaws didn't look like a hair clip. And these monsters just do not care at all. I mean, they are having the time of their life eating humans. The entire sequence is violent from the beginning to the end, as these monsters absolutely ravage humans throughout all settlements, eating them the way we eat barbecue at our neighbors. And it's not just about getting eaten. People are getting their heads ripped off and their legs torn apart. Some of them get impaled through the neck, and the most disturbing of them all is one of these bunnies grabs a bunch of people, puts them in some kind of space, and then the other one comes in, turns his head into a grinder, and you can guess the rest. Number 2. The Female Titan. Attack on Titan. This could have easily been the first episode of Attack on Titan, which was the fall of Shiganshina. Could have been Erwin's final ride, or it could have been Eren's rampage on Marley. But there is just something about the female Titan's assault that put a lot of fear into the audience's mind regarding the 9 Titans, mostly because this is where we understood how relentless and intelligent they really were. What was supposed to be a scout training expedition outside the walls was actually a smart setup planned by Commander Erwin in order to expose the identity of the enemy within the walls. Erwin always knew things were gonna get ugly, but I'm pretty sure even he wouldn't have expected so many casualties at the hands of the female Titan. The scary part is that the female Titan just came out of nowhere and had a close resemblance to Annie, which left a lot of viewers thinking. And then, she just started to nail every single scout she saw. The scouts were barely a match for her as she outmaneuvered and overwhelmed them in every manner, countering all of their attacks and squashing them like bugs. And she killed Petra, which is unforgivable. God, I love her. Number 1. Clipping the Band of Hawk. Berserk. The very first adaptation of Berserk and its quality is a topic of debate. Some say that the adaptation was too rushed and everything. From the production to the story progression could have been better, while others argue that the characters and the art more than make up for it, but no one can debate the ending of that anime was not for the weak of hearts. After Griffith becomes physically unable to keep up with life, he is given a choice by God's hand to join him and be reborn as a godly entity himself. But all this at the cost of his friend's life. All he had to do was say yes. Guts, who probably expected that Griffith would never sell them out, had clearly not understood Griffith's obsession with glory, so he was beyond broken when Griffith agreed to sacrifice them, and boy, is the follow-up gruesome. Weirdly morphed monsters called the Apostles started to show up and obliterate the Band of Hawks, including all the main characters that we had grown attached to. What's even more frustrating is that there is no happy ending. The Hawks got royally murdered, and there was absolutely nothing anyone could do about it, which made Guts and us alike feel helpless.